Hello students, I'm teacher Sheila and this is your math and English class. Today's lesson is about rational numbers and irrational numbers. Before we start, let's read the vocabulary. Say real numbers, rational numbers, irrational numbers, fraction, terminating decimals, repeating decimals. What are rational numbers? Rational numbers are numbers that can be written as a fraction, where a and b are integers and b is not equal to 0. So, a rational number is a number that we can write as a fraction like this, like a over b, where b is not equal to 0. For example, the number 5. 5 is equal to 5 over 1. Another example we have negative 1 and 2 fifths. Now negative 1 and 2 fifths is equal to negative 7 over 5. And lastly, we have 0.25, which is equal to 1 over 4. So again, a rational number is a number that we can write as a fraction, a over b. Another rational numbers are the following. First, we have terminating decimal. A terminating decimal is a decimal that ends. For example, we have 0.375. This decimal ends in the digit 5. On letter B, we have 7.2459. This decimal ends with the digit 9. Lastly, we have 9.8. This decimal ends with the digit 8. One more time. A terminating decimal is a decimal that ends. So these decimals don't have any numbers after the last digit. So this is the terminating decimal. Another type of rational numbers are the repeating decimals. Now a repeating decimal is a decimal that repeats. For example, we have 0.444. Then look at the three dots that follows. This means this decimal don't end. But as you can see on letter A, the repeating digit is the digit 4. On letter B, the repeating digits are 3 and 6. On letter C, the repeating digits are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on letter D, the repeating digit is the digit 4. One more time. That's the repeating decimal. It's a decimal that repeats. Now, terminating decimals are rational because we can write them as fractions, like a over b. For example, we have 0.7 is equal to 7 over 10. 0.625 is equal to 5 over 8. And lastly, we have 34.56 is equal to 3,456 over 100. Repeating decimals are rational because we can write them as fractions. The following are examples. Now your turn. Show that the terminating decimals below are rational. Now remember, if you're going to show numbers as rational, all you have to do is write them as fractions. So 0.6 would be equal to 6 over 10. What about 3.8? Right, it's 38 over 10. What about 56.1? Correct, it's 561 over 10. And 3.45 is equal to 345 over 100. Lastly, we have 2.157, which is equal to, correct, it's 2,157 over 1,000. Good job. Now we have irrational numbers. Say it with me, please. Say irrational numbers. These are numbers that cannot be written as a fraction. As the picture shows, we can't write it as A over B. So numbers that we cannot write as fractions are called irrational numbers. So examples of irrational numbers are the following. So these numbers are non-repeating and non-terminating. It means the digits don't repeat and the digits don't end. That's non-repeating and non-terminating. So what is the difference between rational and irrational numbers? What is the difference between rational and irrational numbers? So rational numbers can be written as fractions. Again, rational numbers can be written as fractions, whereas irrational numbers can't be written as fractions. Rational, we can write as fractions. Irrational, we can't write as fractions. So these are some of examples for rational and irrational numbers. Now let's try this. Identify as rational or irrational number. So letter A, we have 117. What do you think? Right, it's a rational number. Letter B, 9.87. Is it rational or irrational? Correct. Letter B is a rational number. Next, we have 2.64039. What is it? Right, it is an irrational number because this number doesn't end and the digits are not repeating. Again, letter C is irrational because this number does not end and the digits are not repeating. Now letter D, we have negative 1 over 2. This one is an easy one. Correct. This is a rational number because it's already a fraction. What about letter E? We have 0.222 repeating. Is this rational or irrational? Right, this number is a rational number because this is a repeating decimal. Letter F, we have pi. Now pi is what? Correct. Pi is an irrational number. Pi is an irrational number because we can't write pi as a fraction. On letter G, we have negative 3. Now, negative 3 is what? Is it rational or irrational? Correct. Negative 3 is equal to negative 3 over 1. So this one is a rational number. Lastly, letter H, we have 12. Now, 12 is what? Right, it's equal to 12 over 1. So we can write this as a fraction. That means this is a rational number. So for your homework, I need you to copy this one and write 5 examples of each. This would be the first. And the second part would be the vocabulary. For the vocabulary, I need you to translate all of these in Thai and then give me 2 examples of each. Again, write these English words into Thai and write 2 examples of each. And lastly, the third would be the summary for today's lesson. That is rational numbers versus irrational numbers. Now that's it for today.